if you agree that as to anybody who does not settle with you, you will not bring a secret ex parte proceeding, you'll bring a proceeding on notice. You'll give us copies of all of your papers and we'll transmit them to the John Does. I would like to see that happen.
For future cases, are you going to need more expert witnesses? And if so, how can we do what needs to be done to become expert witnesses?
Well, absolutely. What people need to do is find the lawyers in the closest geographical area that are working on these cases and let them know of their credentials and their availability and the fact that they would be willing to work for a reduced fee, and that's the way to do it.
Excellent presentation, and thank you so much for all of your great work.
Thank
Beth,
you.
Is there not an easy mechanism that could be established to go against the RIAA and so get them for damages for all the ridiculous things they're doing? And would that mechanism help quell the whole?
There's no easy way to do that. There are different causes of action for malicious prosecution. In some states, you could sue someone for bringing a frivolous case. You could actually bring a cause of action for damages. In some states, you can't. So it varies from state to state. Right now, there's a class action in Oregon in the Tanya Anderson case. They sued this young woman. She was disabled. She lived on Social Security disability. She didn't have a clue what any of this is about. She'd never done any file sharing. Her 7-year-old daughter had never done any file sharing. She begged them to stop it. She offered to let them have her hard drive and go through it and verify, and they said, no, we want the money. And we found her a good lawyer who took the case pro bono, didn't receive a nickel.
But they're targeting the people who are least able to defend themselves, and that to me is absolutely inexcusable.
It's inexcusable, and that's why we need help from every quarter we can get, because the legal system doesn't really protect people against abuses like that. That's why Electronic Frontier Foundation is pursuing this case against Universal Music, where they go do a takedown notice and threaten lawsuit over a 2-year-old dancing to a Prince song. I mean, it's so important. And there are cases now coming down, several have come down in the Seventh Circuit, saying that when a defendant, when the plaintiff in a copyright case drops their case, it's very, very important for the defendant to get the attorney's fees, because the plaintiffs have all kinds of economic incentives. They have a big library of a portfolio of copyrights. The defendant has no incentive. They just got this one case. You have to give them attorney's fees.
A while ago, I heard about the RIAA being brought up on charges of racketeering. Since I heard that, I haven't heard anything else about it. Have you or anybody else?
Yes, well, it's not going anywhere. I mean, I was starting to tell you about the case of Anderson versus Atlantic, where Tanya Anderson brought a class action. And she brought it on various causes of action, but the judge didn't feel that there was a good enough RICO claim and it had to be taken out. Now, maybe they can come back with that information later, but it's very technical to prove RICO. And almost every cause of action you could bring against them is very technical and very difficult. Recently, I was researching the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, because as to those defendants whose computer was actually accessed, which is possibly less than half, as to them, don't they have a good claim under the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act because Media Century, without authorization, accessed their computer? But I noticed that the statute has been amended to provide that you have to prove that you suffered a personal injury, or to prove that you suffered $5,000 in 1 year in economic loss. So it's going to be very hard for people to actually satisfy that statute. So there aren't a lot of great statutes. Now in Florida, there was a case where they counterclaimed for conspiracy to commit crimes. Now, in certain states, there is such a tort. In other states, like New York, there is no such tort. In Florida, the judge said that's a legally sufficient claim, and he's allowing it to proceed. So, you know, people are raising these arguments when they can, but the law isn't great in that area.
So we have time for one more question, so anyone
Sure.
else can just email us or...
At the expense of being lynched in this room, I am on the other side of the table. I'm an attorney and a techie, and I work for a major media corporation. And so I'm often the guy who has to go after people. And I think your talk is very interesting.
What's your question?
My question is, what do you think about real theft? I'm very careful at finding real thieves.
Yes,
We don't
well,
sue people who
I
are
will tell you that
kids.
the RIAA's litigation campaign against these 40,000 people has never found a real thief. Real pirates do not use kazaa.
That's right.
So give me a break, all right? Thank
I'm
you.
just curious.
I answered your question, sir. I'm against copyright infringement. I've been working in copyright law for 34 years, and I'm against copyright infringement. And if the RIAA's campaign was based on evidence and law, I wouldn't be here, sir.
Thank you.
So my blog is Recording Industry versus the People. It's recordingindustry vspeople.blogspot.com. I apologize for it being so long. If I had known it was going to be popular, I would have made it shorter. That's what it is. You feel free to email me there or to submit questions by comments. Occasionally you'll see me on Slashdot as New York Country Lawyer, and we can comment there as well. I was interviewed on, I had the honor of being interviewed on Slashdot, and I say honor advisedly because it's can be quite a painful experience as well. But I come from a family where we love a good argument, so it was a lot of fun for me. And this was a lot of fun for me, and I was very honored to be in this company, and I thank you.
Rico means prison time.
Yeah.